on Sullivan's Island in Charleston Harbor on June 28, 1776, when the British fleet attacked. The Moultrie flag. The third flag is the Bennington flag. Carrying the flag this evening is Brian Gibson of the Black River Fight and Drum Corps. Gibbon, sorry. The flag, probably of its reference to 76, would seem to be one of the most popular and well-known of our early flags. This flag flew over a large depot of military supplies at Bennington, Vermont, which General Boygan set out to capture on August 16, 1777. They were met by John Stark and his Green Mountain Boys. This battle undoubtedly contributed to General Boygan's surrender in Saratoga, New York, 2 months later. The Bennington flag. The fourth flag is Herrick's Regiment's flag. Being carried this evening by Keeley Flight of the Milford Fight and Drum Corps. Upon receiving news of the start of the invasion of General Boygan in June of 1777, the Vermont legislature appointed Ira Allen, chairman of a committee of safety, with authority to raise a regiment to defend Vermont. The first company, Captain Ebenezer Allen, commanding, reported for duty at Manchester, July 1777, where the original of this flag was presented to the regiment on July 29th. On August 16, 1777, Herrick's Regiment, with this flag at their head, formed the left of General Stark's line on his attack of Prince Ludwig Dragoon's Regiment of the Army of Brunswick. This is the Herrick's flag, regimental flag. The fifth flag is the Rattlesnake or Gadsden flag. Carrying this flag this evening is Cortland Molyneux of Germantown Ancients and Rough Riders. Colonel Christopher Gadsden, a patriot of South Carolina and a member of the Marine Committee, presented this flag to the Continental Congress in February of 1776. While Congress discussed the possibility, they did not make the rattlesnake flag the official symbol of the country. On March 17, 1776, Commodore Essex Hopkins led his ships to the Bahamas to capture large quantities of cannons and supplies. A replica of this flag is said to have been painted on the drums of the new Corps of Marines in this, their first landing. The Gadsden flag. The sixth flag is the Grand Union flag. Carrying this flag this evening is Lincoln Morrison of the Young Colonials Fight and Drum Corps. For over 100 years, the colonists have lived under British flag or King's colors. Our first national flag in January 1776 did not exclude the flag of King George. This flag had 13 stripes to represent the 13 colonies, but retains the King's colors in the canton. This Grand Union flag is also known as the Cambridge flag, as it was first flown at Cambridge, Massachusetts on January 2nd, 1776, when General George Washington raised it to 13-gun salute, inaugurating the beginning of the Continental Army. The Grand Union flag. The seventh flag is the Newberry flag. Carrying this flag this evening is Connor Smith of the 18 Mariners. The Newberry, Massachusetts contingent of the Colonial Army first displayed this flag. Here the designers used a field of green to represent the forests of New England. However, they still left a connection to their forefathers' flag and retained in the canton the Red Cross of St. George. This is the Newberry flag. The eighth flag is the Continental flag. Carrying this flag this evening is Sarah Preston of the Westbrook Drum Corps. It was appropriate at this time that this, our first flag, that did not include any emblem of has been called to active duty during each of the wars. The regiment has campaign streamers from the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Civil War, World War I, and World War II, and has received many decorations and presidential citations. The 7th Massachusetts Regiment Flag. The 11th flag is the Taunton flag. Carrying this flag this evening is John Paul Cuccia of the Ancient Mariners. This flag was raised for the first time. Start that again. This flag was raised for the first time in Taunton, Mass. in October 1774 during the raising of the Liberty Pole. This was a new type of Union flag. It consisted of a red field with the Union Jack as a square-shaped canton and the words Liberty and Union in white letters on the red field. Extending across the lower portion of the flag beneath the canton, Taunton also had the distinction of being the only town founded by a woman, Elizabeth Poole, in 1637. The Taunton flag. The 12th flag is the 3rd Maryland Regiment flag. Carrying the flag this evening is Mark Seal of Black River Pipe and Drum Corps. On June 14, 1777, one of the routine matters taken up by Congress was a resolution that the flag of the United States be made up of 13 stripes, alternating red and white, that the Union be 13 stars, white on a blue field, representing the new constellation. This did not specify any set arrangement of the stars or the size of the Union. Consequently, anyone who wished to make a flag was free to design it to suit themselves. This was the reason for many different versions that were seen during the Revolutionary War. One of these was the flag of the 3rd Maryland Regiment. Lieutenant John Eager Howard's regiment at the Battle of Copen, South Carolina, may have carried it January 17, 1781. The 3rd Maryland Regiment flag. The 13th flag is the Swiss flag. Carrying the flag this evening is Lisa Johns of the Westbrook Drum Corps. The history of the Swiss flag is long and complicated. It begins in 1291 when the Swiss Confederation was founded. When the Swiss Confederation consisted of 8 cantons, no Swiss flag existed. Each canton had its own flag. Shortly afterwards, they created the Swiss flag, which initially was a triangle with a white cross on a red background. Later, this was changed to a square. In 1889, the official Swiss flag was born. It shows a suspended cross on a red background and no additional patterns or heraldic figures are allowed. It is the only national flag in the world in the shape of a square. The Swiss flag. The 14th flag is the Star-Spangled Banner flag, carried this evening by Vicky Morelli of Sailing Masters. Here we have the Star-Spangled Banner, one of the few flags to have more than 13 stripes, and the inspiration for Francis Scott Key to write the lyrics of the song, which has become our national anthem in 1931. This flag was flying over Fort McHenry at Baltimore when the British attacked on September 13, 1814. Francis Scott Key was a hostage on the British frigate Surprise during the night. When dawn revealed that the flag was still waving over the fort, he composed the words of the Star-Spangled Banner to the music of the British reaping song, Anacreon in Heaven. This is the Star-Spangled Banner. The 15th and our final flag is the current 50-star flag, with each star symbolizing one of the 50 states in the Union. Carrying the flag this evening is Dominic Cuccia Jr. of the Ancient Mariners. There before you are some of the symbols of our nation. Researching the history of our flag has revealed, over and over again, a pattern of tremendous personal sacrifice and heroic heroism on the part of the people who carry each of these flags. Our freedom to live under this flag has come at a very high price, paid by all who have defended our liberty in all of the battles of our history. For each of the 50 stars in the flag, there have been thousands who have left their homes and families, many never to return. Tonight we wish to thank and honor all the men and women who by their rise for the playing of our national